A long time ago, in a small village in Ghana called Asempane, there lived a very handsome young man named Kwame Adu. Everyone in the village knew about him. The old men, the old women, the little children, and even the goats and chickens would stop and stare when Kwame Adu walked by. His skin was dark and shiny like ripe cocoa pods. His eyes were bright like the morning sun. His smile could make even a crying baby stop and laugh. The young girls would giggle when they saw him, and the old women would shake their heads and say, "Hey, this boy is too fine," but what no one knew was that Kwame Adu had a secret. He was not born that handsome. When he was a baby, he looked like any other child in the village. But one night, something strange happened. That night, when the moon was big and round in the sky, an old woman with white hair like cotton and a walking stick came to their hut. She knocked on the door 3 times. Kwame's mother, Mame Abina, opened the door. The old woman smiled and said, "Good evening, daughter. I am very thirsty. Can you give me some water?" Mame Abina was a kind woman, so she quickly brought a calabash of clean, cool water for the old woman. The old woman drank it slowly, wiped her mouth, and looked at baby Kwame, who was lying in a basket. "This child will grow up to be special," the old woman said. She reached into her cloth bag and brought out a small bottle filled with shiny golden oil. "Rub this on his face and body every full moon night, and he will be the most handsome man in the land. But you must never tell anyone the secret, or the beauty will go away." Mame Abina thanked the old woman, but when she looked up again, she was gone, vanished like smoke in the wind. From that night, every time the full moon rose, Mame Abina would take out the golden oil and gently rub it on Kwame Adu's skin while he slept, and as he grew, he became more and more handsome. Now, Kwame Adu was 18 years old, and the whole village was talking about him. Many girls wanted to marry him, and many young men wanted to be like him. But no one knew his secret, except Mame Abina. One day, something happened in the village that would change everything for Kwame Adu. One hot afternoon, the chief of Asempanaye village, Nana Kwaku Boaki, sent his messenger to call Kwame Adu. Everyone in the village gathered at the palace grounds to see what the chief wanted with the most handsome young man. The children sat on the ground, and the elders sat on wooden stools. The women tied their clothes tightly and waited. Kwame Adu arrived, his skin shining in the sun. The chief smiled and said, "Kwame Adu, I have heard the people say you are the handsomest man in this land. Even visitors from faraway villages have come to see you. I have a special task for you." Kwame Adu bowed his head and said, "I am ready to serve, Nana." The chief cleared his throat and spoke. "In the forest behind the hills lives an old wise woman called Esi Nyamekye. She knows many secrets and has something we need for the festival. You must go and bring it, but beware. The forest is full of strange things, and only the brave can pass through." People gasped. The forest was known to have talking animals and trees that moved at night. But Kwame Adu, though his heart was shaking like a leaf, smiled and said, "I will go, Nana." That evening, as the sun was setting, Mama Bina called Kwame Adu into their hut. She held his hands and whispered, "My son, before you go, take this bottle of golden oil. If you meet danger, rub a little on your forehead. It will help you. But remember, do not tell anyone why you are so handsome. Promise me." "I promise, Mom," Kwame Adu said. He put the small bottle in his leather bag, took a cutlass and set off toward the forest. The sky was turning dark, and the crickets were singing. The villagers watched him disappear into the trees. In the forest, strange things began to happen. A white bird with red eyes followed him from tree to tree. A river sang a song without a voice, and a tall tree bent down and said, "Handsome boy, where are you going?" Kwame Adu held his cutlass tight and walked faster. He remembered his mother's words and touched the bottle of golden oil in his bag. But just as he reached a small clearing, a shadow moved in front of him. It was a tall man with a long beard and eyes like a cat. He wore a robe made of leaves. "Stop," the man said. "You cannot pass here unless you answer my riddle." Kwame Adu's heart pounded like a drum. He took a deep breath and said, "What is your riddle, sir?" The man smiled. "Listen carefully," he said. "I have no tongue, but I can speak. I have no wings, but I can fly. I have no eyes, but I will cry. What am I?" Kwame Adu scratched his head. The forest became quiet. Even the wind stopped blowing. And just then, Kwame Adu thought and thought. He looked up at the dark sky, then down at the leaves on the ground. The white bird with red eyes was still watching him from a branch. The forest was so quiet that even his own heartbeat sounded loud. Then, like a small flame lighting in his mind, Kwame Adu remembered something his grandmother used to say when it rained. "The wind is crying," she would say. Kwame Adu smiled. He took a step forward and said, "The answer is the wind." The tall man's eyes widened. He clapped his hands and laughed, a loud laugh that sounded like thunder in the trees. "You are clever, boy," the man said. "You may pass, but beware, the forest knows your secret." Kwame Adu's heart jumped. "What do you mean?" he asked, but the tall man was already turning into mist, floating away into the night. Kwame Adu shook his head and hurried on. The trees seemed to whisper to one another. He held his cutlass tightly and followed the narrow path, which now glowed a little in the dark. After walking for a long time, he finally reached a small hut made of mud and leaves. A candle flickered inside. An old woman with hair white as cotton sat at the door, grinding herbs in a clay pot. She looked up and smiled. "I have been waiting for you, Kwame Adu," she said. Kwame Adu was surprised. "How do you know my name?" he asked. The old woman laughed softly. "I know many things. Sit, my child. You seek the item for the chief's festival, but before I give it to you, you must answer me. What is it that makes you so handsome, boy?" Kwame Adu felt his heart stop for a moment. The wind blew gently. He could feel the small bottle of golden oil in his bag. He remembered his mother's words. "You must never tell anyone the secret, or the beauty will go away." Kwame Adu swallowed hard. I was born this way, Nana," he said quietly. The old woman smiled, but her eyes were sharp like a knife. "Be careful, boy, the forest listens. And soon, a time will come when your secret will be tested." She reached into her bag and pulled out a small, sparkling white stone. "Take this to the chief. It is what he seeks." Kwame Adu took the stone. The old woman, Essi Nyameke, spoke again in a soft voice. "Go now before the night grows too deep. But remember, your secret is no longer yours alone." Kwame Adu's chest felt heavy. He placed the stone carefully into his leather bag and thanked the old woman once more. Then he turned and began to make his way back through the forest. As he walked, the trees seemed to move aside for him, and the wind hummed a slow tune. But the feeling of being watched never left him. His fingers brushed the bottle of golden oil inside his bag, and he whispered, "I must be careful. No one can know." After some time, he came upon a small stream with clear, singing water. Kwame Adu knelt down to drink. As he cupped the cool water to his lips, a voice spoke from behind a tree. "Handsome boy, what do you carry in your bag?" Kwame Adu jumped up, water dripping from his chin. It was a young girl about his age, with long braided hair and skin dark like the night sky. She wore a cloth made of fine Kent, though her face was unfamiliar. "Who are you?" Kwame Adu asked. The girl smiled gently. "I am Afia Anima, daughter of the forest keeper. I saw you speaking with the old woman." Kwame Adu's eyes narrowed. "Why are you following me?" Afia Anima stepped closer. "Because," she said softly, "I know your secret." Kwame Adu's heart pounded in his chest like a drum. "What secret?" he asked, though he already knew which one she meant. Afia Anima pointed to his bag. "The golden oil," she whispered. "It makes you beautiful, doesn't it?" Kwame Adu's mouth was dry. He remembered his mother's warning. "You must never tell anyone, or your beauty will go away." He gripped the bottle inside the bag tightly. "I don't know what you're talking about," he said. Afia Anima smiled again, a kind smile. "It's all right, I will not tell. But you must be careful, Kwame Adu. Others in this forest are not so kind." Suddenly, a loud howl echoed through the trees. It was a deep, scary sound that made the birds fly from the branches. Afia Anima's face turned serious. "We must move quickly. There are things in this forest tonight that hunt the beautiful." Kwame Adu swallowed hard. "What things?" he asked. Afia Anima took his hand and began to lead him down a hidden path. "You will see soon enough," she whispered. And just as they disappeared into the trees, a pair of glowing red eyes appeared in the shadows behind them. Kwame Adu's feet moved quickly over the forest path as Afia Anima pulled him along. The sound of the loud, deep howl still echoed in his ears. His heart beat faster than a drum at a village dance. "Afia, what was that sound?" Kwame Adu asked, looking back over his shoulder. Afia Anima didn't stop walking. "It is called the Nsunka beast," she said quietly. "It only comes out on nights like this, when a handsome boy passes through the forest." Kwame Adu's legs felt weak. "A beast that hunts handsome people?" What Afia nodded. Long ago, the Nsunka beast was once a jealous spirit. It hated anyone who was more beautiful than it. So now, it chases those with great beauty, trying to steal it for itself. Kwame Adu touched the bottle of golden oil in his bag. He thought about his mother, Mame Abena, and how she told him never to reveal his secret. They walked quickly until they reached a giant tree with roots as big as drums. "We will rest here for a while," Afia said. Kwame Adu sat down and wiped the sweat from his face. The white bird with red eyes was still watching from a nearby branch. "Afia," Kwame Adu whispered, "how do you know so much about this forest and my secret?" Afia smiled sadly and looked at the sky. "Because," she began, "I too have a secret. Long ago, I was once the most beautiful girl in my village. People would travel from far away just to see me. But one night, while walking through this same forest, I met the Nsunka beast." Kwame Adu's eyes widened. "What happened?" Afia touched her long braids gently. "I escaped, but it took something from me. Since then, I have stayed in this forest to help others like you." Kwame Adu felt a lump in his throat. "Thank you, Afia. You are very brave." Afia Anima gave him a gentle smile. "The Nsunka beast is near, Kwame Adu. Soon it will come for you. You must decide, Will you fight for your beauty, or will you give it up to save your life? Kwame Adu felt fear creep into his heart. He looked up at the white bird, then down at the bottle in his bag. Suddenly, the leaves around them began to shake. A cold wind blew through the trees. A voice, deep and angry, growled from this darkness. Handsome one. Afia Anima grabbed Kwame Adu's hand. "It's here," she whispered. The shadows moved, and two glowing red eyes appeared just beyond the tree. And just as the beast stepped into the clearing, the tall, dark shape of the Nsunka beast moved slowly into the clearing. Its eyes glowed red like hot charcoal. Its body was covered in thick black hair, and its long claws scraped the ground as it walked. Kwame Adu felt his whole body freeze. The bottle of golden oil in his bag felt heavy now, as if it knew what was coming. The beast spoke, its voice deep and rough like thunder. Said, "Handsome one, your beauty does not belong to you. It belongs to me." Afia Anima stepped in front of Kwame Adu, holding up her hand. "You cannot have him, Nsunka. Go back into the darkness." But the beast only laughed, a loud and scary sound that made the leaves shake. "Foolish girl. You think you can stop me? His beauty is strong. I can smell the magic on him." Kwame Adu's heart pounded. He remembered what his mother had told him. If you meet danger, rub a little of the oil on your forehead. It will help you. His hands shook as he reached into his bag and took out the small bottle. The golden oil inside shone softly in the darkness. The beast took a step closer. "Give it to me!" it roared. Before it could pounce, Kwame Adu quickly opened the bottle and rubbed a drop of the oil on his forehead. At once, a bright golden light burst out from his skin, shining through the trees like 1,000 small suns. The beast howled in pain and covered its eyes. "Ah, what have you done?" the Nsunka beast cried. Afia Anima pulled Kwame Adu's hand. "Now, Kwame, run!" They ran as fast as they could through the trees. The forest lit up with the golden light from Kwame Adu's skin, showing them the path. Branches moved aside, and the wind seemed to push them forward. But even as they ran, they could hear the angry growl of the beast behind them. "You cannot escape me forever, handsome boy!" At last they reached the edge of the forest, where the tall trees gave way to the open land of the village. The sky was beginning to turn light as the morning came. Afia Anima stopped and looked at Kwame Adu. "You are safe for now," she said softly, "but the Nsunka beast will return, and soon you must choose. Keep your secret and live in fear, or give it up and be free." Kwame Adu was breathing hard. He looked at the golden oil in his hand and then at Afia. "Will you help me?" Afia Anima smiled kindly. "I will, Kwame Adu. But first, you must go to the chief and deliver the white stone. The festival is waiting, and so is your story." Kwame Adu nodded. "Thank you, Afia." She stepped back into the forest, and like mist, she was gone. Kwame Adu turned and began to walk toward the village, the morning sun shining on his face. But deep in his heart, he knew this was not the end. Somewhere in the forest, the Nsunka beast was still watching. Kwame Adu hurried back to the village of Asempanaye. As he walked through the village gate, the people cheered. "Kwame Adu has returned," the children shouted. "Our handsome one is safe." Nana Kwaku Bwakye, the chief, sat on his royal stool, smiling proudly. "Welcome, Kwame Adu," he said. "Did you bring the white stone?" Kwame Adu stepped forward and knelt before the chief, pulling the shining white stone from his leather bag. The chief's eyes sparkled with joy. "You have done well, my son. You are brave indeed." The people clapped and sang songs in his honor. The chief announced, "Tonight at the festival, we shall celebrate Kwame Adu's courage." That evening, drums beat, fires burned, and food was shared. But while the people danced, Kwame Adu sat alone under a tree, thinking about what Afia Anima had said. "You must choose. Keep your secret and live in fear, or give it up and be free." Kwame Adu looked at the bottle of golden oil one last time. He thought of the Nsunka beast in the forest and how it would always chase him as long as he carried this secret. Slowly he stood and walked to the fire in the middle of the village square. The people watched as he held up the bottle. "People of Asimpanaye," Kwame Adu called, "I have something to tell you." The drums stopped. The women stopped pounding fufu. The old men put down their palm wine. "I was not born this handsome," Kwame Adu said. "Long ago, a kind old woman gave my mother this golden oil. Every full moon she rubbed it on me. That is how I became what you see today." The people gasped. Some looked surprised, others looked sad. "But this beauty has brought me trouble," Kwame Adu went on. "It made some people jealous, and it made a terrible beast chase me. I do not want to live in fear anymore. So tonight, I will give up this secret." With that, Kwame Adu opened the bottle and poured the last of the golden oil into the fire. A burst of golden light filled the air. From that day, Kwame Adu was no longer the most handsome man in the land, but he was loved even more for his courage, his truth, and his kind heart. The Nsunka beast was never seen again. And Afia Anima? Some say she still walks the forest, helping lost souls find their way. Moral lesson: true beauty is not in how you look, but in how you live, the kindness you show, and the courage you carry in your heart. Hiding behind a secret might bring you praise, but honesty and bravery will bring you peace.